touchdown, Alabama. And streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And that, I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to center and you playing fullback up there. And I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you could pick up, you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to fix it, and our running back coach didn't take it. Biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome to the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by MaX Sports. I'm flying solo once again on the Martin Houston Show, powered by MaX Sports. It's a beautiful Thursday morning. We're live, local, and ready to get things rolling on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9. So let's get it going. Thank you so much for choosing to be with us on this beautiful, beautiful morning. So remember that we're also broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And for those of you who are watching, you may be going, hey, what happened to all the gray? I actually have a special event and I had to color my beard. So you may be saying, hey, Martin, you're dyeing your beard. So for those who may be tuning in live, I may look a year or two younger this morning, but got a special event I got to go paint my face up for. So I started the process a little early this morning. But either way, it'll be the same great show, same great content, and I can't do it without you, especially this morning. So make sure you go ahead and get in on the conversation at 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline, 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline. We'd love to have you in on it. And if you want to get in via chat, you can always add your thoughts, your comments, and anything, your opinions of what you'd like to add there as well. And we'll work that into the conversation as we move throughout the program. So please, please, please go ahead and do that. And while you're out there, like, follow, share, give us a star, shoot us some stars, support us. We can't do this without great supporters, whether it be you as individuals or our great sponsors who make this show happen each and every day, and great sponsors like Taco Casa, quality, taste, and value, and the biggest cactus in town. So go support them for lunch and or dinner. So that's Taco Casa, quality, value, and taste. Quality, taste, and value, and the biggest cactus in town. All right. Remember this is a day that the Lord has made. So let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Good morning, Noah. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. It's hard to believe practice is here. Started yesterday. Not a lot coming out yet. Didn't expect a whole lot to come out day one in the books, but definitely underway. And we'll for the first few days we'll we will still be talking hypotheticals and what we think throughout what's happening and have some hypotheticals, but eventually we'll start hearing from Saban and from seeing the players and what they're actually doing throughout. But I'm going to do a little true false today. We'll start talking about what we think we're gonna see. We'll pick up and continue some of the conversation that we began with some of the SWOT analysis and the breakout units and breakout players, and I'll be the coach for the day and all of those types of things. So, but hey, listen, once again, if you're out there, go ahead and get in on the conversation. Blind Squirrel Sport, our Georgia friend, man, I'm telling you, the Bama fans may be about to disown me with my statement, but man, I'm telling you, Kirby Smart is winning me over with how he's treating my daughter Noah over in Georgia. For those who don't know, my daughter is an athletic trainer working on her master's over at the University of Georgia. Now, just to give you, now this is Noah. You remember how we talked about how Hugh Freeze is running his program and how he's not trying to be like if you're gonna come out with an Apple Watch type watch, a smart watch, I should say, you don't need to go directly at Apple. You need to do something drastically different so that the people get a different option.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Now listen to this. When my daughter was at Alabama, and this is just a difference in philosophy. When my daughter was at Alabama working and interning, somebody told her, "Hey, you can't be within 50 yards of Coach Saban." Told her to stop. She was standing out. I guess about within the first week she was there, she's standing out on the field watching her position group that she was assigned to when they were doing their 7-on-7 workouts. And she said she looked up and Kirby's like standing right beside her. She didn't even know it. And everybody else was gone except for her and Kirby. 2 days ago, he walks up to her and said, "Hey, tell me your name again. I am so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for what you do for our athletes," something to that effect. You be nice to my daughter, you win me over. So, but if he's like that, you see what I'm saying about the atmosphere? And
Yeah.
And to me, that's what Hugh Freeze is doing down at Auburn. If Kirby's doing that and creating that atmosphere, that's what's happening potentially at Auburn. They're going so drastically, like whatever Saban is doing, these other guys are doing the exact opposite, just so they have something to contrast. It may not even be their personality. You just have to do something totally different, and and so to me, that's kind of one of those things of, is that going to be enough? I don't know, but if they can get the talent to come, then they have a chance.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's like something like that doesn't necessarily win you football games, but potentially wins you over with people, and that could lead to something down the line. So it's like, is that a good strategy? Maybe so.
Yeah, well, Coach Stallings being on with Ryan, you hear him say it. You've heard him say it so many times in the past. It's not about the X's and the O's. It's about the Jimmys and the Joes. And it's about the Jimmys and the Joes. And I finally finished my book. So everybody that's online, it's called The Encouragement Factor. Give me one more inch. I've had it written for a while, and I keep editing it because and the whole concept is that we all need encouragement, and that when we think we've given our best, if you have somebody that's an encourager in your life, you can just encourage. An encourager will help you give just one more inch. And one of the quotes in there is from Lou Holtz, where he talks about that you actually, when you have both coaches have talent and everything. It's the coach who can get the little bit extra out that makes the difference. But if I don't have talent, then I have no chance against the Nick Saban. But if Hugh Freeze can keep getting talent down at Auburn, we won't know this year. Well, he actually has improved his team because he went out and got a bunch of guys out of the portal, right? But next year, because he gets a bye this year. He gets a bye this year with the fans and with the administration. And if they win a couple surprise games, it's only going to help his recruiting. And then if he gets – so that's going to get him a bye. And then he get a big class. That's going to be exactly what Nick Saban did. Right now, he is building the exact blueprint for that Nick Saban built. Nick Saban came in, and everybody forgets Nick Saban was 7-6 his first year. But he got a Julio Jones, and he got a Rolando McClain. And the rest is history. The rest is history. We went on to get a Mark Ingram. We went on to get, a lot of other big-time players and 6 national titles. Is Auburn going to win the 6 national titles? No. Is anyone ever going to do that again? No. Because everybody else is into the money and the spread is too big. But either way, Alabama has started. Nick Saban has started something, and Hugh Freeze and others are out there trying to figure out how to siphon from what Nick Saban is doing. And I think they're doing that. With that said, has Nick Saban over the last 3 years accumulated enough talent to be a national title, a national championship team? And I think the answer to that question is yes. And I think that we're going to have a couple of close games this year, Noah. And I think that there's one position that we've not talked a lot about, and it was a re-recruitment that I think may be as important at somewhere in this season to Alabama winning a national title as any player we have on our team, and it was a re-recruitment.
Really?
Yes, I absolutely believe that this guy may be the key to Alabama winning a national title. And he was at one point not on our roster. Who am I talking about? You have to come back on the other side to find out. Yeah. You have to stay tuned. Who am I talking about? Come back on the other side, and I'll tell you who. You listen to the Martin Houston Show. Hey, if you want to guess who, you can call us 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline. Or you can post who you think I'm talking about in the chat. You listen to the Martin Houston Show, powered by MaX Sports, right here on your home for Alabama Sports, Tide 100.9.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, everything pretty quiet on the roadways on this Thursday morning. Of course, throughout the day, if you see conditions folks need to hear about, give me a call, 205-886-8886. Get a $6,000 instant discount on all Nissan Titans and the heavy-duty Titan XD, plus 0% interest for up to 60 months at Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
Meet Joe A,
Hi.
Joe B,
Hello.
and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect. Support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase. Make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC.
Calling all HR professionals, contractors, and businesses in Tuscaloosa. Need somewhere for employees to stay while working in town? They have you covered at Sealy Corporate with their affordable and comfortable furnished apartments. Call 205-391-6040 today for more information.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Well, a run of dry weather is coming to an end. Humidity is rising, and we will deal with strong to severe thunderstorms through tomorrow. Your forecast for today, hot and humid. Heat indices approaching dangerous levels. Strong storms possible during the afternoon. Again overnight tonight. Daytime high 95. Will drop to 75 tonight. Tomorrow, a couple of rounds of strong, possibly severe storms with a high near 93. I'm meteorologist Bill Murray on Tide 100.9.
It's 73 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
Good morning. Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by MaX Sports. Xavier will be back on with us tomorrow to talk recruiting. Max_recruiting with our weekly update. And Pat, hold on. We'll get you on the other side of this conversation. I know you want to talk a little recruiting today. Excuse me. I'll do my best to let you talk and I'll listen. Yeah, true, false. Can this team win a Natty? Absolutely. I believe they can. It was a re-recruitment of a player. Who was that player? This player may end up being the MVP. It's a guy that no one's listing out as the MVP. Nor you got to guess.
I have no idea. But even off the top of my head, like for someone to be that influential, I don't know. I mean, you got to tell me who it is.
Will Reichert, man. Will.
Oh, okay.
Will, check this out. Will Reichert. Could we see another need for Will Reichert in the Texas game? Absolutely. Young quarterback. New quarterback. Now, that doesn't mean the game comes down, game comes down to a last-second field goal, but early drives, what do you think Saban's philosophy will be? Third down, 3 to 4, field goal range, run the ball versus passing it, right? Get 3 yards instead of 4, kick the field goal. Do that two or three times and extend the lead, right?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You get down to the wire, you can't quite count on your quarterback to succeed. Be like, okay, well, who can we count on?
That's right. So we may have to win a game with him, or we may extend our lead and be up by 9 because we made 3 field goals early versus being up by 21 because we have a good field goal kicker. But we can count on him. Texas A&M, I could see the same thing. Hostile environment, on the road, boom. Tennessee, LSU. I could see, any of those 4 games, I could see us in a close game or Auburn. Those 5 games, at least 2 of those games, I believe Will Reichert, not that we have to win them at the end like we did Texas or like we had a chance against Tennessee and LSU last year, but I could see that being the scenario again, and Will Reichert comes through this year. I think had Will Reichert not been struggling last year, we end up last year with a different scenario, a different philosophy. If Will Reichert wasn't struggling and off a little bit last year, we have a different approach when the way we're throwing the ball around with Bryce Young against Tennessee.
And so you think he's improved? He's on top of his game now?
I think it was a mental thing. I think he was on top of his game then. I just think that kickers are special. I had some friends and players and coaches that I know. When you go back in the old days, they said that kickers, now this old days, I'm talking about like pre-me, okay? Because I'm now the old days. I have to remember that. I'm now the old days. So 15, 20, 30 years before I graduated college, the coaches who were coaching me, so they were in the 60s, playing in the pros, they said the kickers, man, would be in the locker room smoking like at halftime, shaking. Because if they missed a kick, so that's how bad it was. So they're special. We had, and I'm not gonna call out any guys, but we had some special guys on our kicking on our team as well. So they're just different, and so mentally they're a different breed, and sometimes they just get off and they start pressing and pushing. And I think that he was going through that. So yeah, I think he'll be good. He's married now. He's settled down. He's a grown man, and having been a married player. Noah, I don't know if you know this or not. I was married for 3 years while I played, and it's a settling effect, man. It can have a settling effect on you
Really?
for so many reasons. Yes. So, and I think he will have that effect going into this season. So, yep, I think he could end up being our MVP this year, especially early in the season. I think he will have huge effect, and I think there'll be 2 or 3 games where it's not that we're going to need him to necessarily win the game, but like in a tight first half, perhaps he makes a couple big. Do you remember the Georgia game when Georgia came here a couple years ago?
I think so. Yeah.
Remember, we beat Georgia, and then Georgia came here the next year, and it was a tight game in the first half, and then Will hits like a 50-yarder right at halftime.
Yes.
And then we came out in the second half and just hammered them. That's the tight kicks that I'm talking about. Like it's just boom. You need that big kick, big momentum, big moment in the first half. He will be that type of player for us all throughout the year, where the kicker has the momentum, makes big kicks, ends big drives, where you don't end up. Saban says the same thing, but Coach Stallings used to always say he wanted to end every drive with a kick. Okay, every drive with a kick, meaning we either want to be kicking off, we want to be punting and punting them. And here was Coach Stallings' philosophy, Noah. He wanted the other team to go 80 plus yards because statistically, he knew no matter how good your defense was, you could look at a season and very few teams gave up 80-yard drives, no matter how bad their defense was. If you looked at a season long, very few teams can drive 80 yards without making mistakes.
That's true.
So he would literally, if we were in a position, where our punter averaged 45 yards and we were at the 40, he knew we could punt the ball and make that team have to drive 80 plus yards, and he knew that they couldn't do it on average. So we would run a play on third down that he knew was going to result in a punt. I mean, sometimes he wasn't even trying to get a first down. I mean, we were trying to get, you know what I mean? Like our average, the play we called was not a risky play. It was a very middle of the road play. It'd be 3rd and 5, and we'd run a draw play. We wouldn't call a pass play. So, if we got it, great. If we didn't, he knew we could punt the ball, and our defense would go out and make them punt the ball, and we would gain 10 yards on the punt, and it'd be like another first down. Now we're at the 50 versus our 40, and he would methodically move the ball down the field like that. I mean, it was brilliant. It worked when you have a great defense. It works when you have an average defense. It's exceptional when you have a great defense. So, and then that's what he did. And then eventually you get a couple first downs, and guess what you're doing? You're kicking a field goal. And that's why we beat. Go ahead.
And then you need that kicker again.
And then that's right. And then you're kicking a field goal, and then you're kicking off again. So there you go. And that's what I think Nick Saban will do with this young team. We'll talk about that more. With this young team, will Alabama have a very similar offense? And we'll come back after we talk to Pat. We'll talk about what will be the identity of this football team. And will Alabama fans be okay with the identity that this football team exhibit if it doesn't look like the identity of the last few years? Before we get to that, let's bring in Pat. Pat, thanks for your patience. You're in on the Alabama One hotline with Martin Houston on the Martin Houston with Martin and Xavier's show on the Alabama One hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Man, that I think the identity of this football team is going to be murder ball, and with an occasional pass. That it's going to be, we're going to run the ball down your throat. And there's nothing you can do about it.
I like it.
What do you think? You know, and I just think we're going to control the ball and keep the ball away from the opposing team, and get defense is going to make a couple of turnovers a ball game at least. And if we get on the plus side of turnovers, that hey, we win. But hey,
Pat, let me comment on that real quick. Pat, a lot of people say, well, if you go with the slow offense and don't try to score a lot, you can't score enough to win. I've never understood why people don't get that. If the other team gets 6 possessions a game, how many points can they score? Max.
Maybe 2 times.
No, Max. They can score 48 if they score every time.
Well, yeah, I guess.
Right? If they score if they get 6 possessions and they go for 2 every time and score, they can score 48 points if they score every time. And that and I tell people, so that means they have to be perfect offensively. That means your defense has to be horribly perfect, perfectly horrible. They're not going to do that. And so when I hear teams go, well, man, if you slow the ball down, if you slow the ball down, then the other team isn't going to be, you're not going to be able to score enough points because they're going to score. I'm like, they can't score if they don't have the ball. So, but when you go fast, you give them more possessions and more opportunity to score the ball. But if you are methodical, that means you have to be bad. You can still be creative just because you go slow. You can still be creative just because you're physical.
Exactly.
And I'll comment more on it on the other side. Go ahead with what you were going to say.
Yeah. But what I called about this morning, I thought X was going to be on with us. But what I want to talk about is, where do we go? I know that he's going to keep going after Perry Thompson. That's a given. But where do we go for a wide receiver?
Cam.
Do we go to Idaho?
Cam.
Do we go? Is Cam going to be legitimate?
The kid that went to Texas A&M?
Yeah, but just as easy to get Perry Thompson back for sure.
Why? You think it's easier? You think it's easier to get the kid back from Auburn than it is to get the kid that's going to Texas A&M?
Yeah, because Texas A&M's opened up an oil well for him.
But that's a long way. Let me explain something to you how that. Let me explain something to you how that works, Pat.
Okay, go ahead.
When he graduates, he's going to be out where? Where is he going to be at? College Station. Perry Thompson will be known by who? Everybody in where? Everybody
in Auburn.
Everybody in Alabama. Who knows Julio Jones right now? Everybody in where? Huh?
Everybody in Georgia.
Everybody in Georgia and everybody where?
In Alabama too.
That's right. So Julio Jones has car lots where?
In Alabama.
And in Georgia.
I don't know.
I'm telling you.
Okay.
Yeah, and so you sell Perry on, you sell Cam on you build your name brand in Auburn, you build your name brand in Tuscaloosa, you build your name brand in the state of Alabama, and you build your name brand in SEC country, and then you build your name brand wherever you go. You go to Texas A&M, you're going to be competing against everybody in the state of Texas. You're going to be competing against the Dallas Cowboys. You're going to be competing against the Dallas Mavericks. You're going to be competing against the San Antonio Spurs. You're going to be competing. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you there. Hey, but now I got a question.
I got to get the break. You can hold on through the break, so I don't want to cut you short, Pat.
Real quick. Okay, go ahead.
I'll get you on the other side, so I don't want to cut you short. All right.
Got you.
All right. Come back on the other side. We'll keep the conversation going. You listen to the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. If you got some comments, post them on chat. If you want to get in on the phones, 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, everything pretty quiet on the roadways on this Thursday morning. Of course, throughout the day, if you see conditions folks need to hear about, give me a call, 205-886-8886. Get a $6,000 instant discount on all Nissan Titans and the heavy-duty Titan XD, plus 0% interest for up to 60 months at Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
Now your ideas don't have to wait. Now they have everything they need to come to life. Dell Technologies and Intel are creating technology that loves ideas, loves expanding your business, evolving your passions. We push what technology can do, so great ideas can happen right now. Find out how to bring your ideas to life at Dell.com. Welcome to Now.
$100,000 hot summer nights at Golden Moon and Silver Star Casinos. What better way to spend weekends in August than playing for your chance to win a share of $100,000? Join us Fridays and Saturdays from 7 to 11 p.m., where one winner every hour plays for some of our biggest cash and bonus bet prizes. Want to be a winner? Visit Pearl River Resort.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. Let's wrap up that conversation with Pat. We got a couple other callers we got to get to. So, Pat, I'm going to get you right back in right after this brief statement from our sponsors. Alabama One. Alabama One is making you a winner. We got a getaway giveaway. 2 ways to win. You can win by getting a loan, get an auto recreational vehicle or equipment loan, and be entered to win a weekly road trip of $100 gift card, a monthly weekend getaway of $1,000 Airbnb gift card, or a grand prize vacation of a $5,000 vacation gift card package that to be given away at the end of October. Either way, you're going to be a winner. You can be a winner, or you can make a deposit in one our CD product or our Ascend product. All you have to do is go to alabama1.org to find out more details. So either deposit and earn and win, or get a loan and have fun and win. Either way, we're making you a winner. Competitive rates on both the loan and the deposit, extended loan terms, and 60 days no pay. Get a loan on any vehicle to qualify, or get one of those great deposit products. That's Alabama One together. What's your one? All right, Pat, go ahead and finish up your conversation. You're in on the Alabama One hotline, sir.
Okay, Martin, from what I understand, Coach Saban has offered a wide receiver from the state of Idaho, who just recently broke the Idaho state record of 10.15 seconds at 100 meters at high altitude. That makes a difference now, Martin, running at high altitude versus at sea level.
10-1-5. And what I want you to do is tomorrow is to ask X, does he have a committable offer in case I can't get back in?
Pat, I'm gonna ask you. You remember what they said when they told they were telling the disciples about Jesus? I'm gonna ask you this about Nazareth. They said, "Can any good thing come out of Nazareth? Can any good thing come out of Idaho?" I hope the answer is like it was with Jesus, man. You know, they asked that question as a negative, and the answer to that question was yes. So you need to say yes to that, Pat, right? Can any good thing come out of Idaho? I've never heard. Hey, Pat, here's the reason I asked that question. I don't think I've ever heard of a recruit from Idaho. I'm sure they have them.
No, you have not. Yeah, hey, but Martin, hey, they've got a blue field up there. They sure do. And,
oh yeah, hey, the offensive coordinator. I don't know if he played high school ball in Idaho. Keller, I think, Kellen, whatever his name is, the offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. So, but Boise, now Boise played good football, but I don't know if they got the recruits from Idaho. So, but anyway,
yeah, exactly. But anyway, hey, but 6'2" and 10.15 meters, that's still pretty quick.
Yeah, that's moving. I don't care if you're from Idaho or from Florida.
Yeah. All right. Hey, have a blessed day. But anyway, again, it was at high altitude. Okay.
So
right.
You're saying running in? Do you run faster or slower in high altitude?
It's much harder on your lungs. I'll tell you that.
That's distance, though, isn't it? Don't you run faster in short? Pat, don't justify. Pat, do not justify my question with a response. I have no idea on short distance. I know it's harder to run long distance. Ask everybody in the NBA how hard it is to play the Denver Nuggets in a basketball game in that high altitude. I know it gets you on the long distance. I don't know what it does for short. So thanks, Pat.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. Thanks, Martin. Bye-bye.
Thanks. All right. And Virgil Williams brings up a great point, and I want to make sure I point it out. He said, I'm not sure if I'm really ready for this year. I believe it's going to be a lot like the year when Hurts and Tua were battling, and I hope Virgil's wrong with that. It's going to be a lot of ugly from our fans. I hope Virgil's wrong. And I think Virgil hopes he's wrong. History has showed us that Bama doesn't win natties with the high-flying starting quarterbacks. And that is true. We do better when we play controlled football. That is true. I believe Milroe brings us a good chance to do that. I agree. I think the other guys could as well, but I like Milroe. I just don't want to see the hate again this year if he wins the job. Everyone will be second-guessing Coach Saban. Agree or disagree, you're welcome to call up and talk about it. I hope, this is my response to Virgil, I hope Bama has grown from the last time. That's my thoughts on those words there. Blind Squirrel Sport also commenting on me saying that Cam Coleman could be the target that Bama goes after. That's the kid from the Auburn area that committed to Texas A&M, right there in Auburn's backyard. Wouldn't it be something if Bama were to get another guy from Auburn's backyard to come play for the Tide and him become an All-American? That's Cam Coleman, who committed to Texas A&M. Maybe Bama could flip him and get him to come over and play for the Tide, currently committed to the Aggies. We got a couple other callers we want to get to. Philip, you've been patiently waiting. Philip, you're in with Martin Houston on the Alabama One hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
Doing well, Philip. What you got for us, man?
Biggest thing I got on my mind is I think the team attitude is going to be set by the new coaches on defense and Reeves, but mostly on defense. I'm excited about what Coach Kevin Steele is going to bring to the table. And the best thing, though, that most people don't talk about is that Charles Kelly guy's gone. I'm real excited about that and thrilled that he's gone.
Why is that? Why is that?
I didn't think he was a good coach.
Really?
No.
Interesting. Why do you say that?
My feelings on that was I thought the defensive backs got beat all the time.
And you think that was Kelly? I'm asking you. I'm not disagreeing or agreeing. I'm asking.
Well, he was the secondary. He was defensive backs coach. I know kind of where I think you may be going on that is Saban's involved there too.
I'm gonna tell you, 100%.
I'm glad Kelly's gone.
100%. Saban wouldn't let them change the philosophy against Tennessee. Kelly was a coordinator when Jimbo Fisher won his national championship. Did you know that at Florida State?
Yes, I do. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's an Auburn guy. He's an Auburn guy. I'm not saying that's got anything to do with it. Of course not.
It didn't help though, did it? It doesn't help though, does it, Philip?
I'm glad he's gone. I'm glad he's gone, and I think having
now Travaris Robinson is an Auburn guy, right?
Absolutely, I do. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I'm glad Kelly's gone. I did not think he was a good defensive backs coach, and I'm glad he's gone. And I'm thrilled that Travaris Robinson is over the second.
Let me tell you what I like most is that there's one guy over the. I think that was the problem to begin with. I never understood why you have one guy coaching cornerbacks and one guy coaching safeties. I think that's a problem waiting to happen. How many times did you see miscommunications? It appeared. Think about this. Could you imagine in basketball, Philip, think about screens, picks, and rolls in basketball. Mm-hmm. Think about if one guy was coaching the power forward and one guy was coaching the strong forward and one guy was coaching the guards.
You're not going to have much.
It's easy for somebody to miscommunicate, right? Or put the emphasis on the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And that's what I saw a lot. That's where people beat us. They would beat us on crossing routes or long routes where guys would cross the field.
Martin, I got so tired of going to the games and watching on TV the games I couldn't go to in person. Defensive linemen and defensive backs creeping up to the line of scrimmage and turning around, asking each other, am I in the right place? Am I doing the right thing? I mean, that got old. Yeah. I think that's going to improve. I'm excited about the defense. I think they're going to be much better.
Hey, let me ask you this. Philip, because you brought up the new coaches. Have you noticed that a lot of people have mixed emotions about Kevin Steele, and what they always bring up is the Clemson game that got him fired, but they forget the Auburn stint that Kevin Steele had against Nick Saban.
Right, and I think they forget his first stint with Alabama.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But I mean, it's so funny to me that it's like everybody goes, "Man, you remember what he did at Clemson that got him fired?" And I'm like, "Yeah," but then he came down to Auburn, and every year he made Auburn relevant against Alabama. Even
very relevant.
Yeah, he figured out, and I think he has a lot more talent here. So,
right. I'm thrilled that they have a new outlook on the defensive backs.
Yeah.
And I'm thrilled that Travaris Robinson's the coach. I'm thrilled that Kelly's gone. Every time Alabama got beat time and time again on passes last year. The ball would be in the air and the defensive back wouldn't play the ball. I've always been a proponent of not just watching the receiver, but having a feel for the football.
Now that's Saban, though. So the question is, will Saban change that? That I'm gonna tell you, that's Saban's that's Saban's philosophy. The question is, can Jeremy Pruitt can teach it better than anybody? So the question is, can Travaris teach it, or will we modify it? And let me tell you, and I have to get the break, Philip, and you can hang on if you want to. But let me say this before we get the break, Philip, and you tell me if you want to hang on. When that philosophy came out, you know why it worked better than it does today? Quarterbacks in college couldn't make back shoulder throws.
Right.
So if you were trailing a guy and he turned to catch the ball, it was always where? In front of him. So we never got those PIs. Well, why? Because he was going toward the ball. What do we get a lot of now?
Right.
We get a lot of PIs because why? It's a back shoulder or it's a short throw.
Yeah, and we run into
the guy. Why? Because the quarterback play has gotten better. Not that our technique is worse. Not that the DBs play it worse. It's just the quarterback can make better throws than they used to, and we still playing that same technique. That's Martin's opinion. So if you want to comment, you can stay on the other side. You want to comment?
No, hey, Martin, I know you got other callers that want to call in and talk to you, but I think you make some great points. But I'm just glad for the changes. I'm really looking forward to the year. I think Milroe's going to do a great job. I think all the quarterbacks can do a great job. They all bring something to the table. And, you know, last year, Milroe got thrown in the Texas A&M game. And, you know, Alabama won. He failed.
Philip.
He bailed Alabama out of the Arkansas game. He saved us in the Arkansas game.
Did Milroe won the A&M game? Hold on. We didn't lose the A&M game? Oh, my goodness. With the way Alabama folks, I could have swore that we lost that game. I'm just kidding. Thanks, Philip. Have a good one.
Hey, he saved us in the Arkansas game, I can tell you that.
Absolutely. Thanks, Philip. Have a good one. All right. Come back on the other side. We'll get Todd in with the Martin Houston Show.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks. We are seeing some congestion. McFarland eastbound at Watermelon and Skyland at 69. Now, if you see conditions, give me a call. Get a $6,000 instant discount on all Nissan Titans and the heavy-duty Titan XD, plus 0% interest for up to 60 months at Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Thursday morning. A man has been charged for that I-2059 shooting we told you about yesterday morning. He's 24-year-old Rondarius Bevel. The Tuscaloosa Violent Crimes Unit investigated the incident that took place near the Mercedes plant off the interstate, and they are calling it a road rage incident. The shooting victim's injuries were not life-threatening. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news, sports, and weather coverage throughout the day. It's absolutely free. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Babe Buckner here for Tuscaloosa Hyundai. You may have seen me on our TV commercials. You may even be the one who said I have a great face made for radio. But let me say this, I'm still excited to come to work every day. Tuscaloosa Hyundai is a great story. The first Hyundai showroom of its kind built from the ground up in the United States and still state-of-the-art. Eco-friendly from showroom to service department. Tuscaloosa Hyundai employs over 100 of your friends and neighbors. A sales and service team with over 500 years of combined experience. We are dedicated to supporting Tuscaloosa area schools and charities. We are honored to win Best of the Best recognition as voted on by you. But the greatest satisfaction comes from proving every day. If you want to pay more, that's your business. If you want to save, that's our business. Tuscaloosa Hyundai, corner of Skyland and Hargrove, TuscaloosaHyundai.com.
Looking for corporate housing in Tuscaloosa? Sealy Corporate Living is the answer. With furnished apartments plus great amenities. Enjoy comfortable living for much less than an extended stay hotel. Call Stone Creek at 205-391-6040 today to learn more.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Man, time flies when you're having fun, and it's been a fun one. But we're getting ready to wrap things up. It is the fourth quarter, and it's now time for the Harvest Church 2-minute warning. Harvest Church, loving God, loving people. Join us this Sunday as we continue to move forward in our current series, Next Level. This past Sunday, I taught my job. What's my job as a pastor? This Sunday, I'm teaching what's your job. Come out and figure out how we can move the church to the next level. Sunday, 9 a.m. Bible study, 10 a.m. worship, and the word, hctuscaloosa.com. That's Harvest Church, loving God, loving people. All right, Todd, you're on the line. You're in on the Alabama One Hotline with Martin Houston. What's up, man?
Hey, good morning, Martin. Hey, that guy out there in Idaho, man, I tell you, the only thing good to come out of Idaho is potatoes. Now, I don't know if all them French fries are good for our bodies, but they sure taste good.
Hey,
potato out of Idaho.
Maybe he can be our Mr. Potato Head. You know, maybe he can be all things, man.
Now, Martin, I would like to see that young man run that 10, whatever Pat said, down here in 95-degree temperature, 75, 85% humidity, 120-degree field temperature that you played in, so you know what it's like. Now, I'm not an expert on running, but I'd fly that young man down here and make sure he can produce that in those elements before I put him on the paper. That's for sure.
Definitely.
And but go to the defense real quick, Martin. Go to the defense. I read. I'm driving. I just briefly looked it up. They say Bama gave up 32.6 points per game against ranked teams. Now I would believe that needs to be lower in 2024. My personal opinion. I would like for it to be lower. I don't know where that stands on the national average. I don't know where that stands in the SEC. But that to me, that's a lot of points, Mark.
Well, I think it's skewed with the Tennessee game. So if you drop out and drop Tennessee down, Tennessee probably adds to that a little bit. But that's the one game that if you win, you're in the playoffs. So, because probably everybody else probably gave up in the 20s. Low 20s if you start looking back at last year's schedule, but I would say that the average needs to be in the mid 20s or lower if we're going to be championship level team. I think it needs. Ryan and I said a couple years ago that 17 is a new shutout. So
right.
So that kind of tells you that's kind of expectations. So if you get 21-ish, that's about the equivalent of the old days of 7 to 12 points per game. So we definitely got to be better defensively. And to me, I think you can make numbers say anything, Todd. I think it's situational football. We just have to, against the Tennessee and the Texas, we have to keep them in the 30s, in the 20s, in the high 20s, in the 30s. If you let an LSU or an A&M get in the 30s, you're probably going to get beat because LSU is going to be better defensively. So if LSU gets 28 to 30, you're going to get beat. But if Tennessee gets, go ahead.
We sure got to dial up the heat on that Texas gunslinger that's coming in. We really gonna have to dial up on the heat, and that situational football is gonna have to be dang near perfect, that game right there, because that's gonna be the game to me that the whole nation will judge Alabama football on how they start out the gates against that gunslinger out there in Texas.
Todd, we have played against Sarkisian told Heupel what Nick Saban's kryptonite was. And we didn't correct it. And the question is, will we do something different? And if not, Texas will run us out of the state, Bryant-Denny. And I hate to say that. Sarkisian knows how to create the matchups. He told Heupel how to do it, and Heupel did it 6 times. And you know what it is, right? If you put whatever it is, if you put the number 1 receiver in a stacked position and then move that guy, then the safety ends up on your number 1 receiver and the corner ends up on your number 3 receiver. That's how that's why Hellum kept ending up on Tennessee's number 1 receiver. And Saban we didn't change it that whole game. And he ran 6 routes from that formation. Scored on 5 of them. Georgia does something similar. Herbie saw it and changed it, Todd. So it can be changed and it worked. You have to watch the Texas game. They created similar mismatch. So it works unless Saban changes it. And I think he will. He's smart enough to change it. He admitted it. He wouldn't let him change it after the game. What else you got, man? I don't want to cut you off.
No, that's good. That's good points all the way around, Mark. Man, that was there's no telling how much film that Steele has watched on those high-powered offenses, those QBs, those receivers, those sets that we were running. So you better believe that he's definitely going to be making.
And we're going to make the quarterback. And against LSU, we're going to make the quarterback get rid of the ball. In any option offense, you make the quarterback get rid of the ball. You don't let him dish. You just you take rid of the first option as quick as possible, or you go ahead and quickly take away the pitch man so that the quarterback has to keep it. Either way, you just can't let him have options. You have to take away something. So. And we didn't do that against LSU, and that's what cost us. We didn't take away options against Tennessee. That's what cost us. Both of those be corrected with Kevin Steele. So, thanks, Todd. Appreciate you, sir.
Yeah,
all right, love you, man. Appreciate you. All right, hey, man, we didn't even really get to talk about practice. Talking about practice, that's what we'll talk about tomorrow. We'll also talk about recruiting. Xavier will be back with us on tomorrow. MaX Recruiting at @Max_recruiting will be back on tomorrow. We'll talk more about practice, and we'll talk about top newcomers. We'll talk about Caleb Downs. We'll talk about Caden Proctor. We'll talk about coach for the day. We'll talk about what you like about this team. We'll talk about the identity of this team. We'll talk about true, false. It'll be a free-for-all Friday, and we'll be right here waiting on you. I'm Martin Houston. Hey, that's Noah Haynes. Thanks to all the callers, listeners, viewers, and chatters for being a part of the show. Like, follow, share, be a part of the show. Thanks for your support. This is the Martin Houston Show, the Sound of Bama Sports, your show, your team, the fastest hour in sports. We appreciate you. Remember this, trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding, always acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Roll Tide out there, everybody. Have a blessed, prosperous, and successful day.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.